Do you have a lien on your property? Are you afraid of a lien on your property? What does it all mean? What are liens? Hi, my name is Scott Goldstein. I am a bankruptcy attorney. I practice in New York and New Jersey. And I'm going to talk right now about what is a lien, how does it come into being, and what can you do about it. Liens are essentially interest in your property from other people that are imposed by various sources. Those sources can be a contract where you agree to give somebody a lien in exchange for something else, like your mortgage. It can be from a judgment where it acts that way by operation of law. It can be a statutory lien, such as a lien for taxes owed or other things like that. Or condo liens, HOA dues, they can get a lien on your property. And there's what's called a mechanics lien. And a mechanics lien is when somebody does work on your house or work on your car, and because they did that and they filed the proper paperwork because you haven't paid, they now have a claim against that property and can seek to foreclose, or in the case of the car, they can hold the car for you or take the car. So how does a lien come into being? A lien comes into being because you owe money to somebody for something. That's the general rule. And there is some sort of operating statute or agreement that gives them the right to put a claim on the actual ownership of the property. If it's a judgment lien because you owe somebody money and they got a judgment for you and took the proper procedures in state court, that lien is automatic. If it's an agreement where you took out a mortgage and you granted what's called a security interest in the property, then it is part of the agreement on the papers that you signed relating to your loan, and you can then that'll be recorded in the county clerk's office, and that does what's called perfecting the lien. If it's a statutory lien, so let's say you owe the Internal Revenue Service or the state of whatever you live in, there are procedures the state does when you owe taxes to fix the lien on the property. The feds will file what's called a notice of federal tax lien in the county clerk's office, and that lien attaches to everything you own, including your house. HOA dues, depending on your state, I know in New Jersey there's a 6-month automatic lien. So the last 6 months of your HOA dues that you didn't pay, that's an automatic lien on your property. And there are other liens out there. The mechanics lien, again, it's if somebody does work on your house, then they can file the mechanic lien paperwork as long as they're not paid. And that's going to prevent you from selling property. So what does a lien do? A lien tells the world that you owe money to this person, and it creates a cloud on title to the property and requires that you pay that lien off in order to sell your property. In addition, a lien holder could, if they chose, seek to foreclose or take ownership away and sell the property to satisfy their lien and any superior liens to them. So let's say you have a first mortgage, a second mortgage, and somehow you get a third mortgage on your property. You pay the first and the second religiously, but the third mortgage you ignore, and you don't pay them for, let's say, 1.5 years or 2 years. At that point, that lender might get annoyed and sue you in foreclosure, seeking to sell the property at sheriff's sale to satisfy their lien and all the superior liens. Now, what that's going to do is sell the property, and then that lender will get whatever's left over after the first and the second are paid off. The problem with that, and the reason that those inferior liens or junior liens don't do foreclosures very often, is that when you do a sheriff's sale, there's usually not very much money that actually changes hands at that time, and that junior lien holder will generally not get paid, so it's not worth the aggravation. They'll just sue you for the balance due and create a state court lawsuit and a state court judgment. Something that's come up recently, though, is people filing liens against their own property. And I saw this in a Georgia case that somebody gave me, where a woman filed a lien against her own property in Georgia, alleging, and this is something that when I looked at it as an attorney, made no sense to me. And then when I read the actual documents, it made even less sense. She filed a lien against her property in Georgia, alleging that she was owed some obscene amount of money for ordinary maintenance, mortgage payments, the value of the title insurance policy, and a few other things. Let me be very clear to anyone who is out there on the internet watching this video, who comes across this video. You cannot file a lien on your own property because that makes you a creditor of yourself. And that makes no sense. Now, some people will say, well, what about the trust the government sets up for you? I'm going to stop you right there. There is no trust. There is no government trust that is created for you at birth by filing a lawsuit or anything else like that. That is a myth. It is a legend. It is complete and utter claptrap. And I say claptrap because I can't say the other words I want to say on a publicly available video. It is nonsense. These things have been looked at by courts many, many times, and every single court, which are the people that enforce your rights. So whether you agree with us or not, the courts are the ones that say what the law is. That's how our system is set up. Unfortunately, if you don't like it, you're going to have to go somewhere else, but those trusts don't exist. So you cannot create a lien on your own property. And if you were to make up one of these liens and file one of these liens in your relevant jurisdiction against property that maybe you formerly owned but was taken in foreclosure, you then create a cloud on title, and you do so without any legal justification. And that can be very, very, very bad for you when the owner of the property figures out what you did, files a quiet title action, and seeks damages for you potentially ruining a sale. So, liens, to summarize, created by statute or by contract or judgment. If you don't have one of those things, you don't have a lien. Period. End of story. Filing a lien against your own property, bad idea. Filing a lien against somebody else's property when you don't have one of those things that I talked about before, because maybe you lived there, owned it at one point, and lost it in foreclosure, and are seeking now for maintenance and mortgage payments and all that other stuff, bad idea. If you'd like to discuss this with me, I'd be more than happy to talk to anybody. You can reach out to me. My contact information is at the end of every video. You can check out my other videos on this vlog or whatever you call it. Happy to talk to most people, but this is the way it is, and I do hope this was helpful for you.